In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, one God. Amen. Good morning, everybody. So, on Friday, I was having breakfast with Scott at Porter's. And while we're having breakfast, my phone starts ringing, and I usually don't like to answer my phone when I'm talking to somebody, but it was right there, so I saw, oh, it's from the Archdiocese headquarters in New York. I said, Scott, I better answer this. Hello, this is Father Michael. Yes, hello, this is Bishop Nicholas. Oh, hello, Your Grace, you know. I'm coming to see you. Okay. All right, I guess that's good news. I didn't say that. You know, and I have had a couple people inquire about this and ask, well, what's so important about the bishop coming, and why do we have a bishop? What does a bishop mean? So I thought I'd spend some time this morning talking about that. Because a lot of us are converts, or very few of us have actually lived in an Orthodox country where the bishop actually lives where the people live, so that you might have 15 or 20 churches with a bishop, and you know, a lot of the churches are within walking distance, and you know, maybe the furthest church is 30 miles outside of town, but this is, so the bishop is visiting all the churches, and the people are seeing the bishop. The bishop is having, the big feast at St. Catherine's. So everybody from all the churches goes to St. Catherine's to be with the bishop. And this is how it's supposed to work, right? This is how it worked in the early church. This is how it still works today in traditional countries that are, have been Orthodox for centuries, and that's how it works, right? But what happens when the church finds itself in new circumstances? Well, the church has to adjust. And so we can see, for example, throughout history, even in the Bible, we've got deacons, priests. They're called presbyters or elders, but it's the word we use, priest, to refer to that same thing, and bishops, already in the New Testament. But what each of those do, what the responsibilities are, sort of depends on the place in history, right, where they are, what the needs are. So I'm not going to give you a 3-hour lecture on the history of the bishops. I could, actually, and if any of you are interested, we can talk more later. But let's just talk about where we are now, okay? Orthodoxy in Canada got started by immigrants, right? It wasn't really a missionary church, right? It was a church of immigrants. And it's really only been in the last 30 years, 20 or 30 years. So the lifetime of most of us in the room, except a few of us, right? Within our lifetime, that the Orthodox Church, like that native Canadians who weren't Greek or Russian or whatever, sort of discovered it and said, oh my goodness, this is the real thing. This is the real thing. This is Christianity as it was in the early days. And so, just to use our own archdiocese as an example, in the last 30 years, the number of churches in our archdiocese quadrupled. Like, boom, explosion of, and most of these new churches are converts. White guys like me. You know, although it's historically an Arabic church, you know, all of these non-Arabs are rushing in. When I was first a deacon, I used to work with this camp committee, and they were kind of used to being an ethnic club. You know, these Arab people who ran this church community. Good people, good, pious people, but they weren't used to having a white guy hang out with them. And so at first they were a little uncomfortable. And so they used to, it wasn't very polite, but they used to call me the white kid. I was like 37 years old. They were calling me the white kid, you know. Whatever. But, you know, slowly they got to know me. I earned their respect. It's really funny. I went from being the white kid to, because I was a deacon, they still called me the white kid, to being the deacon, to being Deacon Mike, to being Deacon Michael. And then even while I was still a deacon, they started calling me Father Michael. See, because it's, you have to earn people's respect, right? And so it's so great if they make fun of you at the beginning, right? Be the person you want them to think you are, and they'll start to think you're that person, right? So we've got these huge number of churches all of a sudden, and we don't have enough bishops. And our Metropolitan Joseph, who's actually a very holy man, I know him pretty well, he's a very holy man, he doesn't want to ordain new bishops just because they meet the minimum qualification, right? We've got priests out there who meet the minimum qualification to become bishop, but he doesn't want to ordain new bishops just because he's got guys who meet the minimum qualification. He wants to find bishops who are holy, who are called, who have the grace to lead the churches. And so we're kind of caught in this place now where we don't see bishops very often, and we don't know what they're supposed to be. Well, the bishop is actually the pastor of the church. Even in the early days, one of the earliest writings we have after the New Testament were these letters by Saint Ignatius, right? He was on his way to be martyred. And as he was being taken by the soldiers, walked from the Middle East to Rome. It was a long walk. He was writing letters along the way to the various churches he was going by, telling them, don't stop me. Right? It's God's calling for me to be martyred, so don't try to stop them. Don't try to kidnap me. But in it, he talks to them about the importance of respecting the bishop, that there is no church without the bishop. And where the bishop is, that's where the church is. And that if it's necessary, the bishop can assign one of his priests to be the pastor of a community that's far away if there's a need. But it's the bishop, right? That's why in old countries, when it's St. Catherine Day, the bishop celebrates at St. Catherine's Church, and everybody from all the other churches comes to St. Catherine Church. Why? Because where the bishop is, that's where the people are. Okay, but now zoom ahead 1900 years to 1900 years and 20,000 miles away on the other side of the world to British Columbia. And God's doing a great thing, you know. We've got the churches growing, lots of inquirers and catechumens. People are excited about their faith, right? And so the bishop says, okay, Father Michael, I can't be everywhere. You go kind of as my deputy, as my helper. You go and you stand in front of the people as the icon of Christ. You liturgize. You say the prayers, right? Because I can't be there. But I'll come and visit every now and then. And if you have any problems, call me, right? And that's what I do, you know. We call him, and Your Grace, what do we do about this? And sometimes I do something he doesn't like, and he calls me and says, Father Michael, you didn't do that right. Okay, all right, I'm sorry, I'll do better. Right? And this is how it goes. And so, we have Bishop Nicholas, right? He's not assigned to this area. He's the bishop, Metropolitan's auxiliary. He's a helper bishop. But still, he's a bishop. He has the rank of a bishop, and he's assigned by the Metropolitan to come to visit us. And by the way, I've met him. I know him. He's a great guy. Very smart. Double PhD. Right? First one in computer software engineering. Second one in computer hardware engineering. He invented, or he wrote, the computer program that invented the Intel computer chip at MIT. And then when he was about 40 years old, he realized, you know, I'm running away from God. I need to give my life to God. Quit everything, went to seminary, and became a priest. He's a holy man. He's a good man. He's a smart man. He's a great bishop. I know him. So he's going to be with us at the end of the month, the last weekend of the month. And we're going to do what we normally do because we have to share him with St. Joseph's Church. We'll have him with us for Wednesday night Vespers because that's the Vespers for the Ascension. Then we'll have him Friday night for Vespers, and Saturday morning we're going to have the big hierarchical divine liturgy. And then hopefully a big, a nice coffee hour. Bring your best stuff. We'll have a nice coffee hour, and you get to meet him. And when you meet the bishop, you say, Master blessed, right? That's how you greet the bishop, Master bless, and kiss his hand. If the bishop is present and I'm there, don't ask my blessing, ask his blessing, right? That's the right way to do it. But again, he knows that a lot of you are converts and don't have a lot of experience. That's okay. He's not an angry person or a mean person or anything like that. So anyway, I wanted to just let you know, when we read the epistle reading, remember how it said, the very first line of the epistle reading, maybe you didn't pay attention, but it said, and Peter was going from here to there, visiting the churches. This is what the bishop is doing. He's going from here to there. He has to do something in Calgary the weekend before. Instead of going back to New York, he said, well, I'm in Calgary anyway. Let's go out to Vancouver, visit the churches there. Thank God. So yes, come. And he's going to be here. So we want to receive him. What if the Apostle Peter were coming? How would you respond if Peter the Apostle himself were coming to visit? Right? It would be like, whoa, wow, I'm going to be there. That's something important. But that's exactly what's happening. The bishops carry on the apostolic ministry. So that is exactly what's happening. And when he comes and he puts on his vestments and starts to serve, then he becomes the icon of Christ for the community. So please, as you're thinking about, what am I going to do the last weekend of the month? Friday night, Vespers. Saturday morning, we're going to have the Divine Liturgy with hopefully a really nice coffee hour. Bring your nicest stuff. And what I'm going to try to arrange is that after Friday night Vespers, we'll have a time for all, basically anyone who wants to. But I want to encourage the young people, the catechumens, inquirers, anybody who's not used to seeing a bishop, to hang out after Friday night Vespers. And we'll just hang out and have some cookies and whatever, and just give everybody a chance to talk and meet him and ask him, you know, whatever questions. Like, why do you guys always wear black? And, you know, any kind of question you want to ask. So that,
feel like?
yeah, exactly. What does that feel like when you wear that hat? So this is the plan. The schedule's not confirmed yet. As soon as the schedule is confirmed, I'll publish it so everyone knows what's going on.
Will you publish it on the website?
I'll put it, yes, and it'll go on the website, it'll go on the email list, and I'll have it here.
Okay, cool.
I'm sorry I didn't preach on the gospel, but I felt this was so important that I needed to kind of let everybody know what's going on and why it's important. Okay? So God bless you, and may God help us and be with us.